you guys could just do like an external review for the refs, just the two of you, and then just give them all your feedback.
Like having one free punch a game.
Yeah.
I would put that into a game.
It'd be entertaining to watch.
I don't know who I'd use it on. It'd depend on who I'm playing, obviously, but I genuinely think if you got one free punch, everyone got one free punch a game, it would stop so much of this pushing and shoving and handbags.
Yeah, but what you're suggesting is 23 players, that's 46 people can throw a punch, that's 46 punches a game, and there's going to be someone like you that will push that and do at least 2 a game.
Hello and welcome to episode number 8 of Rugby Pass Offload with me, Christina Mahon, and today I'm joined by Dylan Hartley and Ryan Wilson. We're brought to you once more by Amazon Prime Video. You can watch the new international rugby tournament, the Autumn Nations Cup, live on Amazon Prime Video with our very own Dylan Hartley and Jamie Roberts involved too. Just visit primevideo.com and start your free trial today. Welcome guys, how are you doing?
Good evening, good afternoon, how are we doing?
Howdy, all good, been better.
Yeah, Ryan, Munster last night, yellow card, obviously went really well.
I knew it was the first thing we'd bring up. Yeah, not a great one.
What happened, mate? Let's talk me through it. What happened?
Talk us through it.
Did you? I'm guessing neither of you watched it. Monday Night Rugby, 8:15.
Pro 14. Nope.
Yeah, I missed it. I was watching the Crown.
Just a moment of madness. It's the way rugby's starting to go. It's like a kicking game, just forward and backwards, chasing the ball up and down a pitch, pissing the rain, windy as ever. Just got really bored and ended up. It wasn't even that bad. It was. Their 9 dived on a loose ball, and I just sort of dropped in and stuck the shoulder in as he was on the floor, and got.
You completed a tackle.
Basically, exactly. That's how I looked at it. But what was to come after that was rather interesting. A couple fingers in the eyes and an open palm to the face from the Munster guys, which none of it got looked at. So I think there should have been a couple more yellows. I think mine was the least of the worst.
Do you think that maybe a lot of kicking in the game was one of the reasons why there may have been a few scraps on the pitch? Or can you talk us through what happened with your fight?
No, that's definitely not why there was more scraps. That's just a normal Munster Glasgow meeting. Standard affair, I think. They're always like that. There's always a bit of pushing and shoving, and it was definitely, there wasn't as many as there normally is, I'd say. I think the ref was getting a bit peeved with it, but no. And mine wasn't really a fight, was it? Well, no, I suppose it was. No, when I did what I did, it then you had, I think one of their props then just comes in and absolutely cheap shots on 9 in the back, who then falls to the floor. The 12, Alande, he comes in and just does the same to me. You know, one of them cheap shots in the back, which then gets everyone going. Which, honestly, my fingers this morning, I'm bruised all in here from the amount of shirts that everyone's grabbing at and pulling. You know, when you get in the collar and that's all you can do. No one can punch. No one can do anything else. All you can do is yank shirts. I've actually got really sore fingers. I've got dodgy fingers as they are. I can't close that one, if you can see.
You're actually offending us all by pulling the fingers right now.
Look at that. State of that. So, it was just a bit of pushing and shoving, but that's what you like to see against Munster. And, after all that chat, I think they're probably fired up as well. I think they probably listened to the podcast and thought, let's go out and get them. Because there was a few of them going for me, I'll tell you that. When the big four had, as you weren't here early on, Dill, when we were chatting about it, when the big four started sticking thumbs near eyes, that was when you start to think, yeah, come on, mate. So what happened, Dill, was I did what I did. It all then started pushing and shoving, and I've been open palmed in the face, which I'm like, right, here we go. They're getting the yellow. And then I've had like a hand to the face. I'm not going to say what he was doing, but he was pushing it towards my face at a funny angle. And absolutely nothing got picked up. And that's probably why we don't have a big screen at Scotstoun. We bring this like truck in with a big screen. So obviously there's no fans. So they're like, oh, we don't need the big screen anymore. And the amount of times you see refs have a little look up and they see something being replayed on the big screen, they're like, oh, hold on, let's have a look at this. Whereas it was probably against us yesterday, because after all that kicked off, I reckon there was a red card and probably 2 yellow cards for them. And it was around 67 minutes. We got with 2 points in the game. it was probably a big turning point, and that was pretty frustrating. You know, not having that big screen there for the ref to look up, and then you say, "Well, hold on, what's the TMO doing in there? Is he picking these up?" So I don't know.
Is there any sightings and stuff like that? Nothing.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I think
it's usually 48 hours, isn't it?
Yeah, there's usually stuff that goes across. So I haven't heard anything today from the manager. So I don't know.
Do you think maybe the players are going to have to start being a bit more vocal with the ref, just in case he's missing more stuff if there's no screens there to kind of look at for reference?
Yeah. No, you're just asking for people to start whinging, Christina.
Just pull a Conor Murray on it. That's what I was thinking.
I don't even know what a Conor Murray is.
Oh no, he can moan, Connie.
Is he? Christina, are you insinuating that Conor Murray is a moaner? Let's drag you into this after you try and drag us through the dirt the whole time.
You can't drag me into it. I was actually just referring back to something that Ryan mentioned the last time he was on. Wouldn't be like Conor to moan. So I was just thinking, like, should maybe more players take a leaf out of his book and start protecting, the guys that are on the pitch?
No, look, we don't want to get into that. But like any good scrum half, I'm sure Conor Murray is very good at making the ref aware of certain things. But no, we don't want that. Certainly don't want that. People appealing. They've already been through that, appealing. And I think the best refs are the ones that shut it out and make a standpoint. You see the Johnny Sextons, though, and Farrell's they've been marched 10 metres and stuff like that. I think a strong ref can stamp his authority on the game well enough. And I don't think we want the game getting to a place where players are looking for things and trying to aggravate things. It's not good for our game.
One thing the ref pulled us up on yesterday, though, we had a scrum halfway and we won a scrum, and all the backs, when the backs come jogging in and celebrating, patting the boys on the back, and the refs actually pulled me up and said, "Listen, you need to tell the boys to calm down with their celebrations." And I'm like, well, hold on a minute. With all this chat, with no fans, creating your own energy, I was like, as long as they're coming in and patting their own players' backs and geeing each other up, you can't be telling me they can't be doing that. There's so much talk around this, celebrating the small wins on the field at the moment. And I've got the ref telling me, well, hold on a minute, tell your players, they don't need to come jogging in from the wings to celebrate. And I'm like, well, no, I think they do. And I said it to him there and then. I said, you can't stop the boys coming in and celebrate.
Start making up laws.
So I think he understood when I went back at him and said, listen, as long as we're not, winding them up, giving the Munster boys pats on the heads, as long as it's our own players, then surely you can't stop that. But that's another thing that refs are starting to look. There's so many little things you're starting to see. See what when there's a ruck and someone's going to exit with a kick deal and you're leaning over and dragging players in. Itoje, players like that, they're always doing it. And it's shortening that ruck, making it harder for the 9 to kick. Refs are saying you can't pull players in now if they're part of the ruck. They're saying, no, don't touch him. And you're like, what?
But he's in the ruck.
Imagine having the conversation during the game and saying, hold on a minute. Who was it that started talking about laws with that? Was it James Haskell?
That was me and James Haskell in a game, and Roman Poit told us, "I'm not your coach."
That was it.
Yeah, that was.
What happened there?
Oh, here we go, clickbait.
I actually can't remember this
because
surprise, I don't tend to watch your games.
I just remembered someone, and
Italy were basically dumping out of the rucks. Italy were kind of putting man in the tackle and then dumping the rucks, so clearing the rucks, which created no offside line. But they did it once or twice successfully. But then they would tackle, have a player compete, get cleared out. So we'd do our job at the ruck, and there'd be no one left in the ruck. And because they've done it successfully earlier on in the game, the ref had it in his head. Every time they did it, it was 100% clean. And it just led to a mess of a game, basically. It wasn't positive rugby. They came to frustrate. They didn't come to win. And we basically asked the question of the ref, like, what are we supposed to do? Because in my mind, we were doing what we were supposed to do. Tackler, engaging one guy in the clear out, that means it's a ruck. And then they were dumping the rucks and going offside. So at halftime, we addressed it, started picking going through the middle. We found space. We ended up smashing them by, a good scoreline. And then after the game, we get an apology from the refereeing board saying that it wasn't ref correctly. And then me and Hasker turned into this bloody online meme. And it's I mean, if you're a rugby purist and you understood the laws, what they did that day, some of it was correct, but the 80, 90% of what they're doing, they were just chancing it, and the ref was caught up in it, and it was a mess. It wasn't a good day at the office. But I'll tell you what, it was those sort of things happen. and then the refs have to sharpen up, players sharpen up. That scenario will never happen again in a game because you've been through that. So we got tested that day, and we basically worked out a solution. If it ever happened again, we knew what we could go to do. Good learning exercise.
Yeah, we're getting a bit rugby nauseous, but that is like, there's so many little things on the field that you're like, well, that's not in the like, definitely not. You can pull people in the ruck if they're part of the ruck. So he's saying, no, leave them, stop pulling them. And you're like, no, that's not part of the other one. Sorry, whilst we're on it, might as well just get out there.
Go for it.
See when the nines are dragging the ball back to there's like 3-4 players deep, and they get the ball to the back foot. The whole time that ball's going back, it's not in the ruck. It's like outside the ruck. So little things.
I hear what you're saying, and the referees say as soon as it's touched by a hand, some of them roll it with their hand. As soon as it's touched, apparently the ref said you can charge it down, but every time you go to charge it down, and the ref's like, no, stay there. Mate,
we need to get on the refs panel. I can chuck us in there. Get us in the refing panel. You'll be all right for now, but once I'm done, I'll throw me in there. I'll sort some of these rules out.
You guys could just do like an external review for the refs, just the two of you. And then just give them all your feedback.
Like having one free punch a game.
Yeah.
I would put that into a game.
It'd be entertaining to watch.
I don't know who I'd use it on. It'd depend on who I'm playing, obviously. But I genuinely think if you got one free punch, everyone got one free punch a game, it would stop so much of this pushing and shoving and handbags.
You are ridiculous. You got to go back to the 90s.
Surely
Mate,
now.
I'm telling you, it's like ice hockey. They tried to take out the fighting in ice hockey. Ever seen something called Ice Guardians on Netflix?
No. Is it about the enforcer?
Mate, watch it. Honestly, I'm telling you, they took out fighting in ice hockey in one of the leagues, and the amount of cheap shots, the amount of injuries went through the roof because there was no consequences.
Yeah, but what you're suggesting is 23 players. That's 46 people can throw a punch. That's 46 punches a game. And there's going to be someone like you that will push that and do at least 2 a game.
Yeah, but
you'll say, no, I missed that one, sir. I missed that one.
Right, okay.
Didn't count.
How are we narrowing these rules down then? Let's go. You get one player with one punch a game.
It's a ridiculous rule.
Dylan, who would you use it on?
Game, and you've got
it's ridiculous. I wouldn't punch anyone, Christina.
There's consequences to doing stupid shit.
I think it would be entertaining, seeing as the fact that there's no fans in there and the rugby is quite flat at the moment. If you knew each side could just go up and punch one person each, imagine they use it on the ref. Jeez.
Look at this. Christina's banging into this. She is keen for it. And Dylan's there saying, no.
Well, let's be honest here. Christina.
One punch for one player.
Christina, you're a little cat. Like, you're going to retract your comments because you're all about player welfare. That's your other job. And then, under 10s Sunday morning, all of a sudden you've got these kids lamping each other. Like, it is ridiculous to even suggest it. And I spent my whole career getting in trouble and apologising for what I did to little kids.
You've changed, man. You've changed.
Oh my God, you're so boring, Dylan. Just like, can you not just roll with these things? Just yes and it. So, yes, that would be such an interesting idea. I would love to have punched X player over the time of my career.
Dylan, one person you can punch in the rugby field and you're allowed to for free.
Ryan Wilson.
Yes.
Oh dear. I think it'd be really cool. I have loads of ideas of how to make rugby more entertaining, but we'll leave that for another day. Right, so Dylan, let's get this over with. The Autumn Nations Cup, England beat Ireland 18-7. Did Ireland's forwards cope any better with England this time?
I don't think it's down to the forwards. I think just the whole game. Ireland didn't cope with England very well. I told you, 20 points. They're going to do it by 20, 18 in the end. But no, I'd say it's really convincing. They didn't have to do much. They didn't have to do anything too complicated other than kick really well and defend really well and force kind of errors. If you look at all the points, they were off the back of errors, which was, I think, strong game plan. And if you look at the stats, like England made 200 and something tackles compared to the Irish 70 something.
Yeah.
There's a pretty good lesson there that you don't actually need the ball to win a game of rugby. You obviously need it at certain points. But it's, when you've got the ball, what are you doing with it? It's pointless. I remember watching the Irish for about 17, 20 phases. They keep the ball around the halfway line. They're playing good rugby. It looks attractive. There's shape. You've got little pods of 3 and, passes are sticking. But England just lapping it up. And I think there's probably a gain line kind of success of 2 or 3 meters in 17 phases. It was like they haven't gone anywhere. England just defending. And if you think about what it takes to attack, you need a ball carrier, you need 2 support players, so you lose 3. And if you think about defense, it takes 1 to 2 players to stop that. And every team now would have a low tackler and a high tackler. And the high tackler gets out of that ruck and goes and defends again. And the low tackler, once he's completed his tackle, is on his feet. So you've lost 3 guys in attack, and sometimes you've got 15 guys in defense waiting. So defending, physically is hard, but it's so much easier than attacking.
Energy-wise as well, you think when you're in attack, clearing that ruck, getting up, going around the corner, doing it again, getting back to your feet, realigning, mate, it drains you, doesn't it? So you're bang on there, mate.
But like you got to think in attack as well. Everything's generated by quick ball. So if you can dent the defense, generate quick ball, the defense doesn't have time to reset and adjust, and it shortens the defense, which creates space to play to. Then you get the defense on the back foot. So when you see teams going 10 phases and not going anywhere, like that's where you've just got to go halfbacks, fly half, just put the ball behind, put the ball high, contestable. We don't need the ball because it's just draining your energy. If you think about your battery, it's just getting drained. And every time that you run into a defense and it's smacking you dead on the gain line or smacking you back, generating slow ball, the defense's battery is just charging. Like you said, it's like a morale boost. I think you're asking me for a synopsis of the game. Just think it was really effective by England. The Irish obviously struggled at set piece, which I think if you're not winning collisions and you're not winning your set piece, you're always going to struggle.
Was this the game that sealed Itoje as the future England or Lions captain, do you reckon?
No. Look, I like Maro. He's a hell of a player and he's hitting his straps. He's playing really well. But all this chat about him being a Lions captain and stuff like that, I suppose I've got to make some sort of comment on it. And like I said, I've known Maro since 2016. I roomed with him as a young player, and I think he's a great professional, great leader. But what you're suggesting is that he's better than Owen Farrell at captaining that England team. So he hasn't even captained England, and you're discrediting Owen Farrell, who you think someone as knowledgeable and as experienced as Eddie Jones, who chooses as captain, you're suggesting that Eddie doesn't know how to do his job because Maro would be the captain now. And Owen's obviously doing a great job. He's kind of current Six Nations, winners. They're going well in this tournament. And you're suggesting that Maro should take his job effectively.
No, I'm not suggesting that Maro should take his job, but I'm saying maybe as a future, do you reckon in the future he could become an England or a Lions captain?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's in control of his own future, but there's so many things to consider. Like, he's never captained an international team, so to chuck him into a Lions, it would help if he had national experience or club. I know at Junior World Cups he did that, but it's slightly different beast to captaining a Lions kind of team. You got to remember who's coaching the Lions. Warren Gatland. Is there any sort of relationship there? Have they ever spoke? How do they communicate? There's so much more to consider. And
I think on the captaincy stuff, you don't have. It doesn't matter what sort of player, whether you're playing well or whether you're a brilliant player, you're the standout player. There's so much more to being a captain than what you see on the field. It's everything off it. What I've learned in the last 4 years at Glasgow is probably 10% is on field, 90% is off it. And it's all the crap that comes with it. And it's constant. And the way I see Maro, I don't know him personally, but the way I've seen him in interviews and stuff, he's quite a quiet and timid guy. He's one of these guys, like the epitome of having this split personality of off the field, this nice guy, and then on the field, it becomes a complete different animal. He's, you know what I mean? He's out there, he's cheering above people's heads. See that little clip of him dancing and stuff. And you see that of him on the field, it's almost like an act. But then off the field, the way I see him, he's timid, quiet, one of those guys that just sort of, in the background. So I don't know what he's like in the environment, but it takes a hell of a lot more than being a good player on the field to be a captain. It's what I've noticed is everything off the field. That's the main thing.
Well, credit to Johnny May. He was very, very impressive on Saturday. Dylan, you must have a good story about him. I hear he's a very eccentric character in the changing room.
I've heard something about
that. Chicken.
Can you elaborate on that?
I can actually.
Why is that? What is something? He like clucks or something. Someone said that he does like chicken impersonations. He's starting to do with chickens.
He does this in the changing rooms.
I don't know. Dill, have you been in with him?
I've been in the change room with. Yeah.
What's this chicken thing that they say?
I think you've just got a slight obsession with chickens.
Johnny May has responded to the rather strange rumour that he used to think he was possessed by a chicken. That's where I heard it.
There we go.
Christina said he's slightly eccentric, but he's fun. He's interesting.
I thought you'd have the chicken chat on him.
I'd say Dylan does. He just doesn't want to talk about it.
Well, I want to admire his moustache as well. It almost looks like the offspring of like Freddie Mercury and Borat. Like, as an advert for Movember, I think he's done a great job there.
So have you, Dill.
You did.
So have you, mate.
Well, thank you. You see that?
Yeah. We were talking about mine's sort of the undercover mo. I can have it if I need it, but
I like it.
It can be pulled down. I actually played with Johnny May at Moseley 11 years ago. He won't know that because I don't have a clue who I am. But actually, a guy's just come up talking about Moseley. Did you play with Big Lewis Bean ever?
Yeah, Corporal Bean.
Corporal Bean. Yeah, he's a good man to have around the change room after a loss. He turned to me and I was gutted after losing yesterday, getting that yellow card. And he's been on 2 tours of Afghanistan. So he turned to me and went, well, at least no one's been shot and no one's died, mate. And I'm like, yeah, probably a good way to put it.
I was
it can always bring you back down, back to reality.
Yeah, I kind of, in my last year, he was at Northampton and I said, how are you enjoying it? He's like, it's brilliant. I get fed, we train, do some weights, I get fed, and I go home. He's like, it's better than basically what you said, being out in the desert being shot at. So he's going to throw himself into it for a few years, I think. He's a big unit, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he's a big unit. So he's come on loan. He's come on loan for a little bit with us because of all these players being injured and being away. But yeah, he's again a good bloke to have around because you've got someone like that that's been in some of those situations. And he said, like, boys would moan about being cold, and he's like, boys, this is nothing. This is nothing compared to what I've been in. So it's quite good to have someone around like that in the changing room after a loss.
Well, Eddie started the trash talk early ahead of the match in Wales this weekend. So he said something about the venue being not a stadium and referencing the Stereophonics song, As Long As We Beat the English. Is this something to admire, Ryan?
Well, I didn't really understand it. I saw it in the brief. And what does it mean? It's not really a stadium.
Dylan, you're besties with Eddie. Can you kind of explain, talk us through his thought
process? No, there's no more to it. Like, I don't know what he means. It's not a stadium. Like, we've both played there.
Yeah, it's a stadium.
Is he just not consider it a stadium for the level that his boys are maybe playing at? Is that what he was getting at, or?
I think you're putting words in his mouth there, but
I'm just trying to figure it out. That's what we're here for. We're here to try and figure these things
Welsh.
out.
Yes, very Welsh.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So yeah, that's that sort of
the
stuff.
The first bit, I'm not too sure about. The second bit, as long as we beat the English, I think is 100% correct. They're obviously struggling at the moment, and if they pull this off against what you could argue the form team in the Northern Hemisphere, it does save their season. It does kind of rectify everything that's gone on before this point. So it's the biggest game of the year for them, easily.
Yeah. You can tell that the way that Jamie spoke about it as well when he's been on here, and said their view to when they're playing, and like a lot of the teams, like you said, they win, everything else gets forgotten. Wayne Pivac's out there smoking a cigar afterwards. Happy days.
So we're going to move on to the Scotland 15-22 France. Ryan, you know Stuart Hogg very well. What did you make of him overhitting that kick to touch at the end? He could have put Scotland in a position to try and force a draw. He apologised for his schoolboy error. He's used the same words when apologising for spilling the ball over the try line under no pressure when Scotland lost 1912 to Dublin in February. Like, is he a man for the big moments?
He is. He is a man for the big moments. Had it been Duncan Weir, for example, maybe not as high profile as Hoggy, who had put it out on the full, probably wouldn't have been spoken about as much. Again, a massive meal would have been made of it if it was an England player, for example, over a Scotland player. But he shanked it. That's all he's done. He's made a mistake. As people make mistakes, he's made a mistake. And
I'll tell you what, though, Ryan, like, it's the last play of the game. I would rather my kicker, fly half, whatever you want to call them, whoever, to push it, to go for that 5 metre line out, because, you know, you're not kicking that ball to the 22 and scoring. Like, that's your last chance to lose. It's got to be on the 5 metre for you to have any sort of chance.
Oh, mate, completely. And you want your kickers to go out there and do that. You don't want them being safe. I would hate to be a kicker. I couldn't think of anything worse. Not purely because I'm terrible at shooing it off my shin, but he he is made for these big moments. So much focus is on him being the captain, being one of the best Scotland players to have been around in the last, well, God, for as long as I know. And he's just made a mistake. He's gone for it, and he's not hit it right. There was plenty of opportunities earlier on in the game where Scotland could have been ahead. There was plenty more mistakes that you could have looked at. It's just so focused on that one point because it's the last play of the game. So it's a hard one for him, isn't it? But he's a good guy. He'll take it on the chin, make a laugh of it in the week to try and get over it, and then get back on the horse this week.
So remember, you can catch all the Autumn Nations Cup action on Amazon Prime. Just visit primevideo.com to sign up. Well, before we get on to the Argentina game, this week we've teamed up with Lovell Rugby and Harlequins to launch their new third kit with Adidas Prime Blue. It's all in support for the fight for marine protection, and it's made from Parley Ocean Plastic, which is recycled plastic waste from beaches and coastal communities. So a really great initiative. Did you guys get your jerseys?
I did. And as you can see, I'm doing it here. I love it. Very slick. Love the feel of it. And also Harlequins, very close to my roots. Farnham Rugby Club are associated with them, so possibly my second team or my first Premiership team.
Oh, bring them home, Quins. Bring them home. No, look, I think good initiative. I would never have worn this, but now I am just a fan, and I love the environment. I think it's a great initiative. Up there, Quins. A few of my mates still play there. I like the head coach, Guzzy. I think they've done a good job. So, yeah, get online, buy it, check it out, support, good cause, doing a good thing.
Well, anyway, if anyone is interested in buying it, it is available at shop.quins.co.uk, and well done to all involved. Right, well, we've got to talk Argentina again. So following up a win against the All Blacks with a draw against Australia after more than a year without a test, is that more than just heart?
It was a draw. I mean, they're playing some good rugby. I think they're going in the right direction. I think Cheika's involvement has probably unlocked that last little bit of, potential or last few percent they might have needed. He's obviously consulting with them. I think just getting a different take or a different voice has certainly helped. Everyone that I know that's worked with Cheika has got good things to say about him. Hell of a bloke, apparently. But yeah, I think there's signs of improvement there, consistency. But let's not forget it was just a draw. Beat the All Blacks one week and then draw the next. It would have been great to see a win. But yeah, they're heading in the right direction.
Yeah, I don't think my old boss was too happy. Did you see the press conference? I think someone did like a meme of Argentina smiling all happy, and then him and Hooper absolutely raging, sat in the thing. So in the press conference after, but fair play to the Argies. I think after everything that's gone on and how hard they got hit with COVID, especially over there, to come back, they are literally the epitome of inspiring their nation. You can imagine the chat and stuff before a game, them going out. They'll be going out there to do it for their country. So now fair play to them. I thought it was brilliant.
There were some lovely pictures of the Pumas captain, Paulo Matera, greeting a fan and giving him his shirt. Did you guys see that?
Yeah, so class. I mean, Pablo can't do no wrong at the moment. I think it's brilliant. Not the first player to do it, mind. Sonny Bill's been doing that for years, and I'm sure I know a couple of players that are giving their shirts away as well. But no, I think hell of a gesture, and like I said,
must have known the camera was there.
Yeah, classic, isn't it? The old medal. Give the kid the medal where the cameras are on you. No, the kid was made up. He was in tears, you know what I mean? I think it was a pretty cool thing to do.
Oh, I thought it was so sweet. The fan and the kid been given his shirt. I want you guys to tell me your best and worst fan interactions. So while Dylan is thinking about something else, Ryan, I'll ask you it first.
I would say, I think you probably played in this game, Dill, when we played England up at Murrayfield and it was 21-0. You were probably playing on it. And I think it was the time when Murrayfield had that like infestation on the grass, and there was like something wrong with it.
The worms or something.
Yeah, something.
I was like shocked. There's worms in the dirt. I thought all dirt had worms in it.
Yeah, so we lost 21-0 to England, and the day after, I went and viewed a house, and I'd played in that game, and literally knocked at the door, and the bloke opened the door, and he looked at me, and for a second you could tell he looked again and checked again. He was like, "You were involved in that shit yesterday?" And I was like, "What?" And this bloke literally went through me about the game the day before. I'm there to buy the bloke's house, and he has torn me to shreds. Absolutely torn me to shreds. That we walked in, and after about 5 minutes, he wouldn't stop going on about the game and saying how poor we were and what a disgrace we were. And obviously, I never bought the house, but that was a pretty bad one. That was my first taste of really getting slagged by fans, and then it's just grown ever since. And I wasn't quite used to it then. I'm used to it now. So yeah, that was a bad one. I don't have many. Yeah, I mean, most of the fun ones, obviously, when you meet fans that are so happy to meet you and stuff. But no, there's nothing that really sticks out in terms of a memorable one. It's always the bad ones that stick in my mind.
You have a dirty memory. Dylan, what about you? What are your best and worst fan interactions?
All the good ones are the obvious ones. What makes our game great in terms of post-match on the way to the games. Six Nations games away, you go out for a coffee and people wishing you well and whatnot. And especially playing in a town like Northampton where rugby is the town, it was always positive when you're winning. But my only kind of negative one was we played Ulster, and the week before I'd got on a bit of a scuffle with Rory Best, who was like attacking the mayor of Belfast. I shouldn't have done that. And me and Rory get on just fine. But then the following week I went out with the team, and I was getting off the bus. And, with international rugby, you're used to having security guards and kind of security barriers and people not allowed near the bus and whatnot. But when you play club rugby, there's none of that. Like you're accessible. And this massive lady, she was big. Like she confronted me as we're getting off the bus, and she was calling me a knacker. I think that's an Irish word for, is that a term of endearment? No?
Oh, for sure.
No. But she was pushing up on me, like starting on me, like pushing a dab up on me. And our team manager saw it happening and was like, just because it was a lady, I didn't know what to do. Like if it was a man, I probably would have said, "Can you please step back? I'm here to, watch the game or whatever." But this girl just kept pushing up on me instead of like leaning into me and nudging me and shoulder. And she must have been heavier than me. And in the end, our team manager, Paul Shields, had to kind of intervene and ask her to politely leave. But she kept coming for me. But I kind of got my head down and got to change room pretty sharpish. But other than that, I've only had positive experiences with
right.
Of course you
lovely
have.
Rugby public.
Fingers crossed we can get like fully filled stadiums in the near future. Hopefully Jamie's working on that cure. But so guys, I'm going to move on to, so the fact that, given it's a Lions year, we want to pick a team of tourists. So the best players to hang out with, get people's spirits up, go drinking with. Already in the 15 are Chris Ashton at 11 and Munster's Dave Kilcoyne at loose head prop. So obviously, Dylan, you know the story. I need one more player from each of you, please. And I also need a story to back up why you have chosen them.
Well, he's Irish. Mine's Irish. He's going to play 12, and his name's James Downey, and his nickname is Jimmy Piss.
Yes, Jimmy Piss.
Can we both agree on that? Anyone that's 100%. Called Jimmy Piss will get in my touring team. He win or lose, the classic saying, on the booze, and he would always commit to at least half a dozen post game. Whether he went out or even if he went back to his flat in Northampton and just drank by himself, he was the ultimate tourist. Always loved a beer. Always wanted to go out. First man there, last man standing. Jimmy Piss for me at 12.
Yeah, he had a stint at Glasgow, did Jimmy Piss. He's a good man. No, I liked him. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good man to chuck in there. He played at Munster as well, though, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Strange. I got on with
good player too, uncomplicated. Big
bash up
straight up the middle.
Yeah, Jimmy Downey. No, that's a good one. Mine would have to be I think he's a loose head. I don't understand loose heads and tight heads. I think they can do both. I'm sticking John Welsh in at tight head. If we've already, has it got to be another position?
Yeah.
I'm going just stick him at tight head. John Welsh at tight head. He's played for Scotland. He currently out of contract. Anyone watching this that is looking for a player, he went down to Bath, did a little bit, and I know he's based in Newcastle. But yeah, he won't mind me saying that. He is currently out of contract. Bloody good player, but even better bloke off the field. This guy he's like the life and soul of everything. When you go away and like international or even with your club and you get to the hotel and you get these guys that will grab their iPad, go to the room, sit and watch film and on their own in their room. John Welsh is a polar opposite. He's similar to me. He's one of the guys, he's never in his own room. He's always in someone else's room or in the team room, causing trouble, like causing mayhem. And you need people like that in a team, especially a touring team. Loves a good beer. Glasgow born and bred. I know that his banter's probably whittled down a bit. When he went down to Newcastle, he's like Glaswegians, like through and through, thick as they come. And when he went down to Newcastle, I was speaking to a few guys. They're like, "No, he doesn't rip the piss out of too many people." So I know he had to taper it back a bit. They probably don't get his banter, but he would be the one. He'd be the one I'd definitely chuck straight in there. Welshie, like you end up doing things. You know what it's like when you're in camp and you're so bored and you've got nothing really to do. You end up all in one person's room. There's like 10 or 12 of you sat in one room together, messing about, and end up acting like school kids. Like this ridiculous game. It was funny. Me and my wife were watching Killing Eve the other day, and I think it's Insidious, the film. Have you seen that film? And it's like this music comes across. Tiptoe by the window, through the window, by the tulips, and then it's like creepy as anything. So what we'd do in World Cup 2015, I think it was World Cup, we'd all be in a room, 12 grown men, right? I started cracking up. Bet's like, "Why are you laughing?" And I had to tell her the story. We'd all go into the room. You'd cover every single bit of light up. I mean, close the curtains. Like you go to the extent of getting blue tack. Boys, make sure you bring the blue tack to the room. Blue tack over the little peephole on the door. Rug underneath the door so the light can't get in. So it is pitch black. Christina's looking at me like, "What is this bloke going on about?" Right? But this is honestly what it gets to. So you make the room completely pitch black and then you send one player into the bathroom, right? Lights off. Take it to another level. You can get the players to stare at a light for as long as possible before you turn the lights off, so it's harder to see. And the one player goes into the bathroom and plays this music, and everyone has to hide in a place in the room. And it's like basically a game of hide and seek, but with creepy noises. And John Welsh was the master of coming out and making these creepy, like, strange noises. I mean, listen, we're not allowed to get drunk during the week and do normal stuff. So you end up acting like school children, and we're all hid in this room like little girls screaming at like 11 o'clock at night with John Welsh crawling around the floor making these weird noises. I mean, the stuff you get up to is very strange. And I told my wife this story and she was like, "Sorry, when was this? When you were like 16, 17? I was like, "No, 27 at the World Cup." She's like, "You fucking weirdos." But honestly, that's the sort of stuff you end up getting up to. And that's something, a game myself and Welshie developed at the World Cup. It's one of my favourite games to play. Shows how much of a kid I am. Ridiculous, eh? Christina, did you do that with your friends?
No, we definitely do not, but I might try it next time. I know, in fairness, Ryan, he's definitely coming into the Tours 15 with a story like that. So
he sounds kind of creepy.
Yeah, do you think we could get him on the podcast?
Yeah, but I don't think you'd be able to put anything through from the way he speaks. He would come on. He's like the type of prop, you might have seen it, Dylan, where he played at Newcastle and he did a chip and chase. He broke through the line and he was like 22 and tried a chip and chase, and like that sort of bloke, and then just cracks up after it. You know, oh shit.
Love that. That doesn't go down well when tight heads are doing that. The rugby gods usually frown, coaches usually frown, never picked again. All of a sudden you're without a club. Tight heads, people just want tight heads to scrum, anchor the scrum.
He's still known as one of the most hated in the groups after that 2015 World Cup because he gave away the penalty, which then knocked us out of the quarterfinals. Everyone reckons he cost us 25 grand a pot.
Is that the chat? Is it? Blaming the one guy.
He's never lived it down. But yeah, he's a good man. Now we'll have to get him on to explain that story as well. But yeah, John Welsh for the creepy bedroom stories.
I'm happy with that. I will take that. Guys, do you have anything else you want to add? Are you happy for us to wrap it up? Oh, my knees.
You can play the insidious music rather than my singing.
I like the singing.
No, the singing. You're quite a good singer.
Well, I've been in a band, Christina.
What band have you been in?
No, we did a charity band for Glasgow. We did it at the Hard Rock Cafe last year. Me and a few of the boys at Glasgow set up a band, lead singer. Obviously, it was a good laugh.
Are you a good singer?
We raised 10 grand for charity, which is good for us in Scotland. It'd been like 100 grand down in England if an England player did it. Wouldn't it? Really?
No comment.
Hard Rock Cafe. It was pretty cool.
What did you sing?
That's cool.
Oh, a bit of everything, mate. We started with "We Will Rock You," obviously. We had some "We're Killing in the Name of" Rage Against the Machine. Dave Rennie was there as well. And when he gets to the bit where it says, "F you, I won't do what you tell me. F you, I won't say the real word." And Renz has stood there, Dave Rennie, with 2 pints in his hand, because every 2 minutes I'm like giving it, "Someone get Dave Rennie a pint," and he's loving it, absolutely loving it. And I'm like, "F you, I won't do what you tell me," pointing at Dave, and he's just stood at the back like laughing. And we had a game the next week, and we were like, "Listen, boys, what are we going to do? Like, we've got to have a few beers to sort of get some Dutch courage up." So we all ended up getting steaming. And he was there in the crowd, like, loving it. He didn't care. He was like, "Boys, do what you want."
Mate, if anything's been proven, you don't need it. It doesn't matter when you've got a game or when you played your last game. Argentina had 400 days between games. They beat the All Blacks and they train in their apartment. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Right. Well, that's it from us. Thanks to Dylan Hartley and Ryan Wilson, and thanks to you for listening. More offloading next week. Make sure to subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts so you get it as soon as it's released. Leave us a rating and review if you can, and don't forget to check us out on YouTube as well. Thanks, guys.
Offload, load.